edification. Hebrew kingdom building.
So we're going to continue on in the building the ARK concept right now. Building an ARK. Okay, let's go to Leviticus 21. Leviticus 21. And I want, let's get a mic over to Benai Yahoo. Oh, y'all on it, man. Y'all all the way with this. Yeah, Leviticus 21. Vayikra 21. Everybody there? Let's get it.
Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 1. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, speak to the priests, the sons of Aharon, and say to them, none shall defile himself for the dead among his people.
Yeah. This was the first thing that was said surrounding the Kohen, the priest, the set apart. Do not defile yourself for the dead. Remember, Yahushua said, let the dead bury the dead. People were like, man, I got to go and bury my family member. Yahushua didn't use that as an excuse. He's like, no, let the dead bury the dead. Keep going.
Verse 2. Except for his relatives who are nearest to him, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, and his brother. Also his virgin sister who is near to him, who has had no husband. For her he may defile himself.
His virgin sister. Because if she was married, so y'all know in ancient Israel, you're either a virgin or you're married. There's no like in between. Y'all know now it's kind of gray. They got the in between stuff going on. Nah, or a widow. But that's the, you're either a virgin or you're married, or widow. Let's keep going.
Verse 4. Otherwise, he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself.
Man. Let's keep going.
Verse 5. They shall not make any bald place on their heads, nor shall they shave the edges of their beards, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be kodesh to their Eluah, and not profane the name of their Eluah. For they offer the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire, and the bread of their Eluah. Therefore they shall be kodesh. They shall not take a wife who is a harlot, or a defiled woman, nor shall they take a woman divorced from her husband, for the priest is kodesh to his Eluah.
So when you're talking about the people who are offering the offerings, there was a different level that they had to be on, huh? They couldn't defile themselves in certain ways that a regular Israelite can move. Like Yahuwah even basically gave them restrictions on even who they can marry. Like, if you're a regular Israelite, you could even marry other nations. It's not like encouraged, but it's allowed. But the priest, that's not even an option. It's not an option. Not only that, even if you do marry within your tribe, you have to be a virgin. You cannot marry a harlot or anyone who is divorced. Very interesting. These are restrictions. Let's keep going.
Verse 8. Therefore you shall consecrate him, for he offers the bread of your Eluah. He shall be kodesh to you, for I, Yahuwah, who sanctify you, am kodesh. The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the harlot, she profanes her father. She shall be burned with fire.
So yeah, daughter of the priest, very, very, very high responsibility for the daughter of the priest too. Y'all keep that in mind, daughters. If y'all are in this order, if y'all are in this assembly, I'm talking about young and adult daughters. So that's a very high responsibility for y'all. It's a higher responsibility for daughters of the priest than just daughters of, the common Israelites, which no Israelites are common. All Israelites are Kodesh, right? But the Kohen class were Kodesh of the Kodesh. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. Keep going.
Verse 10. He who is the high priest among his brethren, on whose head the anointing oil was poured, and who is consecrated to wear the garments, shall not uncover his head nor tear his clothes. Nor shall he go near any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother. Nor shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his Eluah, for the consecration of the anointing oil of his Eluah is upon him. I am Yahuwah. And he shall take a wife in her virginity. A widow or a divorced woman or a defiled woman or a harlot, these he shall not marry, but he shall take a virgin of his own people as wife.
A virgin of who?
His own people.
That narrows it down, don't it? Y'all see why things are the way it is when it comes to marriage, sons and daughters? Because this is a priesthood. Ain't nobody answering. That's why it's like that. Now I know y'all see, man, y'all. Some Israelites, man, they go and man, they'll get some people from the other nations, man, and they'll do whatever. Might have 2 or 3 wives, whatever, They kind of moving whatever. It's within boundaries of Torah. They feel it's through. But the priest that is not the case. I submitted actually a priest, and this is not a rabbit hole I'm trying to go down, but I'm just mentioning this to throw it out there. This is just something to throw out there to just to think on as we move on to the other stuff. But I submit that the priestly class was not able to do more than one wife. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. The multiple wives, that was for the common Israelites or like the kings and stuff, if you have enough, the rich, if you have enough money to have multiple wives, that's through. But the priest, there's nowhere mentioned that I can think of where any high priest or anything like that have multiple wives. Mm-mm.
I heard they was out there saying Rebirth too strict.
Yeah, you can't just marry anybody. No, they need to go through the process. They need to be of your own people. They need to be, and when I say of your own people, of this stock, of this nation. Virgin. They need to be a virgin, meaning they need to be Kodesh Tamim. Y'all get it? It don't have to literally be a virgin, because you can be a literal virgin and just be wicked, huh? No, it got to be Tamim, Kodesh, righteous, without spot or blemish, undefiled, set apart. Yeah, let's keep going.
Verse 15.
I hope y'all following. This. Because the priestly class, how did they know that they met all these requirements when the priest was ready to marry? How'd they know? Oh, they probably had a process, huh? Oh, snap. Y'all don't realize how rebirth, this stuff is, that Yahuwah been revealing the rebirth is going back to ancient ways. We don't even be knowing that. We just being obedient. That's what Yahuwah wants us to do. We just going to do that. We don't really know. And then you start getting into these scriptures and you're like, hold on, man. Wait. It's very possible that this is just returning to things of already the way things was.
Right.
Let's keep going.
Verse 15. Nor shall he profane his
Oh, let me say this. Okay, I just got to say this. So people, they'll try to say stuff like, you just need to just keep Torah. Like, man, that's all we got to do is just keep Torah, man. Like, it don't take all that. Just keep Torah. There's a lot in the Torah that is not in the Torah, though. They tell you to do stuff, but they don't tell you how. The how comes from revelation. There's a lot of stuff in the Torah that's in there, but you're not going to get it until Yahuwah reveals it. You get what I'm saying? It makes sense that there was a process in here. How are they going to be able to tell that they meet all these requirements? There was some sort of vetting process. If you were Kohen and you were set up to be the next high priest, let's say you're the son of Aaron and you in line to be the next high priest, and he come home with a Cody Keisha, and he in love. They had to make sure that she meets all the requirements according to Torah. They had to have a process set up that took time. Is Keisha just trying to be yoked with one of the yoke because he finna be next up to be the high priest of the nation? Or is she really of the right stock, the right people that she meet all these requirements? Okay, we're gonna have to see. Don't nobody think about that. Let's keep going.
Verse 15. Nor shall he profane his posterity among his people, for I, Yahuwah, sanctify him. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon, saying, No man of your descendants in succeeding generations who has any defect may approach to offer the bread of his Eluah. For any man who has a defect shall not approach. A man blind or lame.
Wait, hold on. This is huge. This is huge, y'all. Because in order to be in the priestly order, to offer the offerings of Yahuwah, you had to be without defect. You had to be tamim, without spot or blemish. In other words, you had to be perfect. That's when Yahushua said, "Be perfect." Therefore, be perfect, for I'm perfect. He's not talking about never making a mistake. In Babylon, being perfect means you never made a mistake before in your life. No, he's saying be tamim. That's actually the word for perfect, without spot or blemish, spotless, without spot or wrinkle. Let's keep reading.
Verse 16. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon, saying, No man of your descendants in succeeding generations who has any defect may approach to offer the bread of his Eluah. For any man who has a defect shall not approach.
Any man who has a defect, y'all. Listen what the defects are.
A man blind or lame.
A man that's blind. What does blind mean? That means that you do not have eyes to see. If we showed you multiple times, this is why we do this, or and you just can't see it. If you can't see yourself, that's in a sense being blind. You get it? Well, like, man, ARK, the way you're moving is disrespectful to the mishpachah. You're not showing ahav. You causing problems in the assembly. What? I don't even see how that could be true. Because what he had did, what about him? What about him? Unable to see yourself. That in a sense, that's being blind.
Verse 18. For any man who has a defect shall not approach. A man blind or lame.
What is lame? Lame is someone who is unable to walk. or their walk is their walk is what's the word is what unstable, not stagnant. It's distorted, perverted. That's good. That's good right there. I ain't think about that. But you're unable to walk. So as a priesthood, we're moving this direction, and you back there, because you're unable. You're unable to move. You're unable to move in the directions that Yahuwah has everybody moving. So it's like you're lame. Ruachali. You know what I'm saying? Scriptures tell you ain't gonna be able to do the offerings. You ain't gonna be able to move in the priesthood if you have that type of a defect. So that's what we've seen. We literally seen that. There's a couple of people who are I don't remember ever doing anything big that was wrong or nothing, but they would miss a lot of stuff. They would miss feast days and all kind of stuff, and they would have their reasons. You know what I'm saying? But what happened was, they missed so many windows. We'd be over here, and they like still over there. Keep going.
A man blind or lame, who has a marred face, or any limb too long.
Man, keep going.
Verse 19. A man who has a broken foot or a broken hand.
The same thing. Their walk is affected. Their hands, they're not going to be able to. They're unable to do the work. They got a broken hand or a broken foot. They're unable to do the work. And we're not talking about a physically broken hand, because you have people who have a physically broken hand. We're talking Ruachali right now. That's what we're talking right now, at least. Who be all about do that work. They'll still be out there going in. But if you got a Ruachali broken hand, you just not capable of it. Your mindset is not there to do the work that's needed. Not just the work that's needed physically in assembly, but the work that you need, for example, to be restored. In order to go through a ruka, it takes a lot of work. You got a broken hand, broken foot. You're not willing to do that work to go through. I'm talking Ruachali, that it takes to go through the aruka. You're not going to do the work that it takes to let's see, receive the ruach on the level. You know, the prayers, the fasting. You're not going to do the work that it takes to do the prayers, the fasting, the things it needs to continue and move forward in Yahuwah and Yahusha the way He wants you to. You know what I'm saying? The list goes on. Keep going.
Verse 20. Or is a hunchback or a dwarf.
So think about what is a dwarf. Someone who has stunted growth. So that was the one I was talking about earlier. So a dwarf or a hunchback supposed to be, you know, maybe 5'10". You know, why did I do that? You know, supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? You know, about 5'8", you know what I'm saying? But instead they're like 5'3" because of some sort of defect genetically to where their growth 5'1", 4'8", 3 something. They 3 something. And there are people that be midgets, man. They be 30-something years old, but only be like real short. Hey, I don't believe having that. Y'all stop. But the point is that you're not growing like you're supposed to. You're probably going to end up doing something to get you removed. You're probably going to end up, you know, quitting something. You see what I'm saying? Because your growth is stunted. You're like a midget in Ruachal midget. Yeah, because what makes a midget, man, now if you're 2 years old and you this short, you know what I'm saying? That's normal. But if you're 32 years old and that's sure, that's some genetic issue. And what happens is you have people in this walk who are 30 and 40 years old, that's short. No, you're expected to be a lot taller than that. There's something wrong there. Let's keep going.
Verse 20. Or is a hunchback or a dwarf, or a man who has a defect in his eye, or eczema, or scab, or is a eunuch.
Think about a eunuch. That's somebody that was castrated. Maybe there was a slave and was castrated or something like that. They're unable to bear fruit, right? Remember how we talked about how those parts are in the scriptures. They basically are related to fruit, on a tree. And so if that was cut off, that means you don't have no fruit. If you were castrated, that means you don't have any fruit. And so, yeah, man, if somebody's a eunuch, man, most times say they're not to do offering the offerings. They're not to be in the priesthood. So you're a ruaco eunuch, basically. If basically that fig tree that didn't have no fruit, that was a ruaco. That fig tree represented a ruaco eunuch. You know what I'm saying? That's why Yahushua had cursed that fig tree. And so that is another major thing. You have to be bearing fruit. You have to be bearing fruit because if you're a part of the order, you should be bearing fruit because Yahushua is giving us everything that we need in order to do so. So if you're not doing it, there's something wrong there. Let's keep going.
Verse 21. No man of the descendants of Aharon the priest who has a defect shall come near to offer the offerings made by fire to Yahuwah. He has a defect. He shall not come near to offer the bread of his Eluah. He may eat the bread of his Eluah, both the most Kodesh and the Kodesh.
There's going to be people who will be able to eat the bread coming out of the 7 assemblies. They'll be able to partake of the water flowing from the 7 assemblies. So, this is about the requirements. I remember we talked about the sons of the high priest. This is what this was about, the sons of Aaron. The sons and daughters of the high priest. It's even talked about the daughters, didn't it? The daughters got to be a certain way. It's about us. Now it makes more sense why it's such a why the requirements are the way they are in this order. Why things are the way they are in this order. Because we're the Kodeshim. It's the revelation I got outside just earlier. Who's the only person who can go into the Holy of Holies? It's the high priest or the sons of the high priest. They call the Holy of Holies in Hebrew is the Kodesh HaKodeshim. They just translate it as Holy of Holies in English, but that's not really what it says in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's the Kodesh HaKodeshim. They don't sell it. They don't. When Kodeshim is used in other verses, they don't translate that as holies. It's the set apart place for the Kodeshim, y'all. It's the wow. Hey, but I told her for that. Told her about. Everybody did an offering, huh? Just because you're not on the altar, putting offerings on the altar, that don't mean that you're not doing an offering. I submit in this order, everybody has to be qualified to do an offering. Everybody. The Holy of Holies is the set apart place for the Kodeshim. It's the holy place of the Kodeshim. The Kodesh HaKodeshim. The only people that can go in there are Kodeshim. The only people that can go in there is the people of the high priest. Do y'all remember what the holy place meant? I mean, what the Holy of Holies meant? Means the womb, right? And then on Yom Kippur, the high priest going in there, It's like a conception. That's the only time when the seed makes it into the womb. So think about this, y'all. So remember, that's also the ark, right? That's also the ark. The high priest going into the womb. It was like being in the belly of the tabernacle. That's the womb, the belly. We talked about how Noah going into the ark was like him being in the belly of the ark. Then we talked about how, remember, Jonah going into the fish was like him being in the, well, he literally was in the belly of the fish. Then we even talked about, in a sense, us being in the ark is like being in the belly of Yahusha. Because he had mentioned with one of the assemblies, I'll spew you, I'll vomit you out. Right. You can't vomit something out unless it's in your belly. You can't vomit something out that's in your leg, huh? No. So, that's the seed in the house. So the Hebrew word for prophets is basically about the seed in the house, nabi. The noon, the seed, the bet, house, nabi, and then you got the yod, aleph, but we'll get into that part. Or aleph, yod. So the high priest going into the Holy of Holies is the seed going into the house. Which is where the word prophet comes from. Actually, the Hebrew word for fruit is nab. Because that's what a fruit is. It's a seed in the house. Ain't that what fruit is? It's a housing for the seed. Fruit is a housing for the seed. That's why even your fruit, that's why the reproductive parts are related to fruit, because even that's what your fruit does. As human beings, as men, that's the housing for the seed. Hopefully y'all knew that. I know public school. You never know, boy. I tell you. Never know. But Hebrew Academy, especially with a that's y'all teacher, oh yeah, I'm sure y'all gonna know about that. That's all that the fruit does, is it houses the seed. That's the function of fruit. That's how you reproduce. That's the function of fruit, is to reproduce. The function of fruit on trees is to reproduce. Oh, snap. That's why it's so important to the Most High for us to be fruitful, to bear fruit, because that's how you reproduce. The Hebrew word for prophet, it's one of the main ones at least, is nabi. That's noon, bet, yod, aleph. Y'all know the aleph is silent. Y'all get it? Nabi. So the aleph a lot of times will be silent if it's at the end of a word a lot of times. It basically means the seed in the house through the work of the strong leader. The seed in the house through the work of the strong leader. So I submit that being a prophet is actually associated with the ark. Because the whole word surrounded around prophet is the seed in the house, which is the high priest going into the Holy of Holies, which is Noah going into the ark, etc., etc. That's why that's associated with the ark. Because that's how you get the direction and get the revelation of stuff you needed to know how to move. You get what I'm saying? It's through these words from Yahuwah that are coming out. Prophecy is so important. It's so important. And that's associated with the ark. Hallelujah. So the seed in the house, the seed in the house. We're talking about the ark. We're talking about the ark. I want to look at let's look at Bereshit 37, verse 23. It's on the screen. So this was Joseph. This was Yosef. This was Yosef, Joseph. Y'all remember this story. I'm just going to read a portion of it because y'all know the story because we go over this every year. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers. If y'all don't know this story, we might need to talk about your growth. We might need to see. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing, y'all. Y'all don't be mad at me. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. So remember, the tunic was the atonement, which is the same garment that was put on Adam and Eve when they sinned. It was a atonement, literally the exact same Hebrew word. That was also the same garment that was put on a high priest, who was commanded for the high priest to have a atonement. And it was of many colors. When you read the things that had to be on it in the colors, it was a atonement of many colors. This was the garments for the high priest. And remember, the high priests are who go into the womb every year, right? They had to wear that garment before they went into the womb every year. They had to. It was required. If they didn't, they can die. All right, keep that in mind. They took that off of Yosef. Then they took him and they casted him into a... But look at here. And the pit was empty. There was no water in it. I submit that was kind of like an ark. Yeah, Joseph, they was about to kill Joseph. That actually kept him from getting killed. So he was put into the belly of the pit. He was put under the ground. He was in the belly of the pit. It had no water in it. It had no water in it. The floods of the water could not. That was what was so important. How come Noah didn't die on the ark? Because there was water all around it, but there wasn't no water in it. Why? Because they daubed it with pitch. They daubed. Actually, it don't say they daubed it with pitch. Actually, in the scriptures, it say that they kafared it with pitch. Inside and out. Hold on, man. That's the word for Yom Kippur. What do you do on Yom Kippur? You go inside the ark. This stuff wild, man. Again, for time, I'm not going there, but if you go to the to Genesis 6 through 9, or somewhere around that, and when Yahuwah is giving Noah the instructions on how to build the ark, he literally told him to kafar the ark with pitch. He told him to kafar, the kapura, the ark with pitch inside and out. Man, let's go there real quick. Yeah, let's go there real quick. I see some blank faces. Where my phone at? Oh, no. Oh, I'm about to say that's the second time in a row. I did that last night. All right. Let's go there real quick. I believe it's in Genesis 7. Nope, that's too far. Genesis 6. Okay, y'all see Genesis 6:14, Mishpaka? All right, let's get it. Benai Yahu, Genesis 6:14.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 14. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and outside with pitch.
All right, now go to that word for cover. For cover. Y'all see what that word is for cover? What is it? That's I need to say everybody except but not Yahoo. But not Yahoo be on top of it, man. Everybody except leadership, but not Yahoo and Shannon. No, I'm just playing. Nah, but it's kafar. Y'all see that? If you click on kafar, what is the first word that it says that it means? All right. So scroll down to the word in English that is translated to. What is it translated in English to more than any other word in the scriptures? That word, kafar. Y'all know how to look that up if you scroll down? What is the English word kafar is translated to more than any other word in the scriptures? This word is translated as atonement in English 71 times. More times than any other word in English. This word is primarily translated as atonement. Y'all get where I'm going now? Y'all get what I'm saying now? So when Yahuwah told, because Yahuwah could have used several other Hebrew words instead of using kapar to say the pit. That's tying us back to what? Atonement, the Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur. It's really supposed to be Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is actually, yeah, the Ish people say Yom Kippur, but it's really, when you look in the actual scriptures, it's kafar for atonement. Yom Kippur. But, it's spelled the same, so I'm kind of splitting hairs. It's Kuf Pei Resh. It's spelled the same, they just pronounce it different. But Yom Kippur or Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is when you go into the Holy of Holies, which we said that's the ARK. This is proving that. Because the ARK had to be kafar with pitch inside of that. Okay, let's keep going. So, Joseph, his brother was like, let's kill him. But what happened is he was saved from being killed by being put into a pit. And they said it didn't have no water in it. That word for pit is the Hebrew word bor. That's bet wa resh. It's basically like a well. The Hebrew word for well is be'er, like Be'er Sheba. That's like the oath well or the well of the oath, something like that. Be'er is just, I think that's bet aleph resh. They're both the same. Kind of they pretty much mean basically pretty close to the same thing. A pit or a well. It can mean a dungeon, prison. Both words, like when you look them up, they both pretty much mean all those same similar things. Be'er or bor. All right, so what I want y'all to do, get y'all sword ready. Quick draw McGraw style. We're finna look at some scriptures now. I didn't have time to put up slides, so we're gonna go to the actual scriptures. All right. 1 Samuel 19. Let's go to 1 Samuel 19. I know y'all want one of them things, huh? That's that high definition fruit right there. Boy, look at you. All right, 1 Samuel 19, y'all there? 1 Samuel 19, y'all ready? Let's go to verse 18. Let's do it. We're going to go to verse 18. We'll stop at verse 22. Let's get it.
1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 18. So David fled and escaped and went to Samuel at Ramah.
So David was fleeing from King Saul at this time. He escaped and he went to prophet Samuel. So the prophet Samuel was important because he had what you call the school of the prophets. He's the one who started this, well, who we believe that started the school of the prophets. It might have been going on before him. But I think that's when it's first mentioned with him doing leading, being a leader for the people at Nob. The place was called the land of Nob. Nabi, you get what I'm saying? The seed in the house. So that's basically the land of the prophets. Because, you know, Nob means fruit. That's what it means in Hebrew. It's interesting that prophet, Nabi, it has fruit in there. When you go into the Brit Hadashah, Yahusha teaches, he said, beware of false prophets. How did he say you would know them? Y'all see that? How that works together in the Hebrew? Yahusha was speaking to Hebrews. That's how you know that. Because you wouldn't even get that. It wouldn't even really add up. Unless you saw the Hebrew that prophet is associated with fruit. It's real because that same word is for false prophets too. The false prophets of Baal were knobs as well. Or Nabi as well. So what's the difference between the false Nabi and Yahuwah's Nabi? You will know them by their fruit. They both have fruit. It's fruit in the name. So that's why Yahusha was teaching that. Let's keep going. But, let me go back here. But the word for prophet, it's about the seed in the house through the work of the strong leader. Think about it, y'all. That was Noah. He was the strong leader that put in that work to build that house for the seed. Right. Moshe and them, they had to build the tabernacle. It was through the work of the strong leader. The seed in the house through the work of the strong leader. He had to dye, but he had to kafar inside and out with pitch. All right. So now you got David. He's running away from Saul. And he went to Samuel. Let's keep going.
Verse 18, so David fled and escaped and went to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Shaul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and stayed in Naioth.
So that word, it says Na'iot or something on there, but really that word is Navi. Nabiot. So that word actually, for those who had a Blue Letter Bible, if you don't, again, we're going to have to talk about growth here. I had to sneak that in. I just couldn't help it. I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't help myself, y'all. But that word is very closely related to Nabi. As a matter of fact, if you look at it in the Blue Letter Bible, it'll say Nabi, it means habitations, but look what it really says in letter A. What does it say it is? It's a dwelling place of prophets, y'all. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's keep going.
Verse 19.
And remember, David is fleeing danger to go there. He's going there to be preserved. He's fleeing danger to go there. Let's keep going.
Verse 19. Now it was told Shaul, saying, take note, David is at Nabiot in Ramah. Then Shaul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the group of prophets prophesying, and Shemuel standing as leader over them, the Ruach of Yahuwah came upon the messengers of Shaul, and they also prophesied.
Y'all see this? So what happened was David was stooped there. He was preserved there from the danger and the calamity that was trying to befall him. That served as like an ark for him, the land of the prophets. Y'all see this, man? This stuff wild, man. Keep going. It's not by chance that the Most High has Now that all this stuff is happening, he has this nation moving as a nation of prophets now. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 21. And when Shaul was told, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied likewise. Then Shaul sent messengers again the third time, and they prophesied also. Verse 22. Then he also went to Ramah and came to the great well that is at Sheku.
So that word for well is actually pit. That's bore. That's literally the same word for the pit that Joseph was put into. I really believe that it's not by chance that that came up in this context. Keep going.
So he asked and said, where are Shemuel and Dawid? And someone said, indeed, they are at Naviot in Ramah. So he went there to Naviot in Ramah. Then the Ruach of Yahuwah was upon him also. And he went on and prophesied until he came to Naviot and Ramah. And he also stripped off his clothes and prophesied before Shemuel in like manner, and lay down naked all day and all night. Therefore they say, is Shaul also among the prophets?
Yeah, I know that sounds wild, huh? Dude started showing his fruit, man, and was prophesying. I'm just saying. Go to 2 Samuel 17. And we're going to do verse 15 through 21. Y'all are doing through. 2 Samuel 17 and verse 15 through 21.
Second Samuel chapter 17, verse 15. Then Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, thus and so Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus and so I have advised.
So in this context, this is when David's son, this is later on in King David's reign, when his son turned on him and tried to overthrow David's reign and government. So now his son is now, this was back before David was king, the first scripture, when Saul was after him. Now this is later on, David's king, and now his son is after him. David's on the run, basically. Let's keep going.
Verse 16. Now therefore, send quickly and tell Dawid, saying, do not spend this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily cross over, lest the king and all the people who are with him be swallowed up. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed at En Rogel, for they dared not be seen coming into the city. So a female servant would come and tell them, and they would go and tell King Dawid. Nevertheless, the lad saw them and told Absalom.
So a lad saw him and told on him. And so what do?
But both of them went away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim, who had a well in his court.
So that word well is either Bor or Be'er. That's Be'er. Like a pit, a well. So it's the same thing though as Bor. It's a pit. So you see David and them went into the pit and they went down into it. In verse 19, what did the woman do?
Verse 19. Then the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth.
Oh, so they kaffared it? Oh, okay, keep going.
And spread ground grain on it, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servant came to the woman at the house, they said, where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan? So the woman said to them, they have gone over the water brook. And when they had searched and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem.
So here's another, now you even have King David, where he literally did go into the pit. Y'all look at that word bore, it means pit as well. It doesn't just mean well, it means pit and other things as well. And he was, because of that, he was preserved from a danger that was coming, that's calamity that was trying to befall him. In a sense, that's a sense of being in the ark as well. That's also associated with prophet because that's like the seed being in the belly, being in the house, being in the belly. Keep going.
Verse 21. Now it came to pass after they had departed that they came up out of the well and went and told King Dawid and said to Dawid, arise and cross over the water quickly, for thus has Ahithophel advised against you.
We'll leave it at that. So going into the pit and coming out, we know that that's basically resurrection. Especially when they were supposed to die. That's also being born again. That's like going into the womb and coming out. Remember when Yahushua said you got to be born again, and the dude responded, was like, "How? Are you saying that we got to go into the womb and come back out?" Remember he said that, be birthed all over again. That was Ruako when he said that. Because that's literally what they did when they went into the pit and came back out. That's like being born again as well. That resurrection is like being born again. Joseph was put into the pit, and then he got pulled back out. That's being born again. It's like going into the womb and coming back out alive. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a silly question, wasn't it? Didn't y'all used to think that was a silly question when he asked Yahushua that? It seemed like he was even being sarcastic and trying to, how can you be born again? You saying we got to go up in the womb again and come back out? How come that's impossible? And Yahushua responded like he was ridiculous for asking that question. I thought it was because Yahushua thought it was a stupid question, but it might have been because Yahushua might have been just like, yeah, what do you mean? How do you don't know this? And you're a teacher in Israel. Joseph went in the belly and came back out. Noah went in the womb and came back out. The high priest had to go in the womb and come back out every year. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah was so amazing, man. Let's go to Psalm 28. Y'all laughing at me? You laughing at me, Grandma? I don't know. I'll be a little extra sometimes. Yeah, Psalm 28. Let's do verse 1. Psalm 28. I just really hope y'all are getting this, getting the gravity of this, because this is where we at. All right, let's get it. Psalm 28:1.
Psalms 28, verse 1. A psalm of Dawid. To you I will cry, O Yahuwah, my rock. Do not be silent to me, lest if you are silent to me, I become like those who go down to the pit.
All right, why am I bringing this verse up? That word for pit is bore. But in this instance, Dawid is associating this word with actually death. You see that? He says, let's go down to the pit. He's talking about dying, being killed, or being in the grave. You see what I'm saying? So this is proving what I'm saying, that when Yosef went into the pit, that's the same word, bore. When he went into there and came back out, that was a resurrection. And that was also being born again. Resurrection and born again are being born again are associated with each other. That's another reason why Yahushua probably expected them to understand, the Pharisees to understand the concept of being born again, because remember, the Pharisees believed in the resurrection. How y'all don't know about being born again, man? Y'all know about the resurrection. Y'all not like these other people, these Sadducees and stuff. Let's go to Psalms 30. And we're going to do verse 3.
Psalms 30. Verse 3. O Yahuwah, you brought my soul up from the grave. You have kept me alive, that I shall not go down to the pit.
Y'all see this? It's making it clear, isn't it? Making it clear out. Making it clear more, right? We trying to bring this out, man, cause this where we at, man. That's where we at. That word pit is bore. It's the same word. It's the same word for the pit that Joseph went into. And so it's showing you that it's associated with dying. So if you go into the pit and you come back out, that means you resurrected. Let's do Jeremiah 38. Jeremiah 38. Jeremiah 38. Everybody there? We're going to start with verse 1 and we're going to read through 13 so we can get the context down. Chapter 38.
Jeremiah chapter 38, verse 1. Now Shephatiah, the son of Matan, Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, Ukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken to all the people, saying, Thus says Yahuwah, he who remains in this city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he who goes over to the Chaldeans shall live. His life shall be as a prize to him, and he shall live. Thus says Yahuwah, this city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princess said to the king, Please, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakens the hands of the men of war who remain in this city, and the hands of all the people, by speaking such words to them. For this man does not seek the welfare of this people, but their harm. Then Zedekiah the king said, Look, he is in your hand, for the king can do nothing against you. So they took Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon.
They cast him into where?
The dungeon.
They cast him into where?
To the dungeon.
That is the pit. That is the pit. That is the Hebrew word bor. That is not the dungeon. That was in bor, the same word for what Joseph was put into. It's derived from the word for well, be'er. It's like a pit. So Joseph was casted into a pit. Keep going.
Verse 6, so they took Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the king's son, which was in the court of the prison. And they let Jeremiah down with ropes. And in the pit there was no water.
Oh, so now y'all see how that wasn't a dungeon? There was more to it than just a dungeon? How do you lower somebody down with a rope into a dungeon? No, this is a pit. And it had no water in it. This is giving you a hint, ain't it? This is tying you back to what happened to Joseph. This is being done to Jeremiah by his own brethren. These are the Yahudim doing him like this. Just like Joseph got done like that by his own brethren, by his own people. And there was no water in it. That's giving you the connotation that this is actually some sort of a ARK type of situation. This is somehow probably going to preserve him somehow from some sort of calamity or something. You get what I'm saying? Like that's coming, like an ARK situation. Keep going.
And in the dungeon there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sank in the mire. Now Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs who was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the pit when the king was sitting at the gate of Benjamin. Ebed-Melech went out of the king's house and spoke to the king, saying, My master the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the pit.
Man.
And he is likely to die from hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from here 30 men with you, and lift Jeremiah the prophet out of the pit before he dies.
Lift him out. Oh, snap. Resurrection. Keep going.
Verse 11. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took from their old clothes and old rags, and let them down by ropes into the pit to Jeremiah. Then Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, please put these old clothes and rags under your armpits, under the ropes. And Jeremiah did so. So they pulled Jeremiah up with ropes and lifted him up out of the pit. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison.
Man. So, if you keep reading this, basically, the next chapter, Babylon basically goes full throttle. Babylon goes full throttle and sacks Jerusalem. And this is all happening while Jeremiah is locked up. And then after Babylon basically sweeps through Jerusalem, Jeremiah was preserved through that calamity. So that whole event preserved him from the calamity of Nebuchadnezzar, basically. And then Jeremiah was freed, basically, after all that went down. Yeah, go ahead and go to Jeremiah 39 so y'all can see what happened real quick. We're just going to look at it, verse 11. Go to the next chapter and look at verse 11. Yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 39, verse 11. Now Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, gave charge concerning Jeremiah the Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, saying, take him and look after him, and do him no harm. And do to him just as he says to you.
To leave it at that. So y'all see here that after Nebuchadnezzar took over and sacked Jerusalem and took it over, then he Jeremiah, because he was locked up during that whole time, he basically was preserved from that war, and he Nebuchadnezzar had took charge and was going to scoop up Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was preserved. So Jeremiah is an interesting person. Do y'all know that Jeremiah was literally the son of the high priest? Yeah. Go to Jeremiah chapter 1. Go ahead and read Jeremiah chapter 1:1.
Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 1. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests who were in Anahath, in the land of Benjamin.
So Jeremiah was the son of Hilkiah, which was he was of the priestly class in Anathoth. But then you want to see, like, well, who was Hilkiah? Well, go to 2 Kings 23:4. Who was he specifically? 2 Kings chapter 23. Verse 4.
2 Kings chapter 23, verse 4. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest.
Oh. And he was the high priest during whose reign? Look at the title of this chapter.
Josiah.
He was the high priest during Josiah's reign. Josiah was one of the most famous kings of Judah. He was one of the most righteous that we had. Y'all remember the story of Josiah? He became king very young. He was very righteous. Go down to verse 24. This is Jeremiah's dad, y'all. Go down to verse 24. My bad. Go down to verse 2 Kings verse 24. My bad. I was right.
2 Kings chapter 23, verse 24. Moreover, Josiah put away those consulted mediums and spiritualists, the household allures and idols, all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, that he might perform the words of the Torah which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of Yahuwah.
So, Hilkiah was the one. Go to verse 8. That's more clear. Let's do verse 8. That's a better one.
2 Kings chapter 23, verse 8.
I'm sorry, chapter 22, verse 8.
Second Kings chapter 22, verse 8. Then Hilkiah the high priest said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the Torah in the house of Yahuwah. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it.
So that was the famous house. Y'all remember in the times of Josiah when there wasn't no Torah for a long time? And it was found? He was the one, that was Jeremiah's daddy. He the one who found the Torah and got Torah restored in Israel. So that's just giving you an idea of the stock Yirmiyahu came from. His dad was a part of a great awakening when the Israelites started keeping Torah again. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. His dad was a part of a great awakening that happened, and he was his son. And so Yahuwah had called Yirmiyahu at a young age, because Josiah didn't last long. He started young, though. He started real young, but then he died kind of young. He got killed in a war. And that's when the wicked, after Josiah died, that was it. And the wicked kings came after that, like Zedekiah and all them. And that's when, Hilkiah was kind of old. That's when Jeremiah kind of came in and kind of moved as the prophet on the land. Because there's some sort of association with these prophets and these high priests, because they kind of, they go in, the high priest goes into the Holy of Holies. They're Nab, the seed that goes into their house, like the Nabi. That makes sense why Jeremiah was called to be in this role. Just like, man, think about Yochanan the Immerser. Remember his dad? When you read in the Brit Hadashah, his dad, his name was what, Zechariah? And we know he was of the priestly class because he went in to do the work in the holy place. So that was a seed in the house right there. And then his son was called to move in as a Nabi as well. Very interesting. Turn the hearts of the fathers back to the sons and the hearts of the sons back to the fathers. Go to Proverbs 23, and we're just going to read verse 27. Proverbs 23, verse 27.
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 27. For a harlot is a deep pit, and a seductress is a narrow well.
So that's giving you both words there. I think that's probably Be'er and Bor. Probably. I didn't look it up. But no wonder they don't want the priests to marry a harlot. It says, for a harlot is a deep pit, and a seductress is a narrow well. So let me tell y'all something. I think the older folk know this. But my young people, a harlot Anybody who is not a virgin amongst your sisters. Let me tell you something. They can have a nice smile. They can be friendly, but if they're running around fornicating and laying with their boyfriends every day, they are considered a harlot. If they're laying with people that they're not married with, they are considered a harlot. If they're not, now, we're not talking about people who repented from that. Now they're moving in righteousness. They're not doing that. We're not talking about that. No, we're talking about these girls at your school who they nice. They got a big smile. A big smile. They have a real big smile. And you think they cool. And the scriptures is calling them a harlot. The scriptures is saying they are a harlot and they are a deep pit. That means that's a way to death. They're a grave. That's a way to death. That's what it means. Y'all remember when Maury Emanuel actually told y'all this before? That was making most sense. All right. They ain't trying to hear that. Let's go to the Song of Solomon, chapter 4. Song of Solomon, chapter 4. Chapter 4, and then we're going to do the verse 15. Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 15. So a harlot is a deep pit. But we're giving you the contrast of a Kodesh or Cody, or a daughter of Yahuwah. That's why the priests are not allowed to marry a harlot, but you can marry a daughter. You can marry a daughter of Yahuwah. Y'all ready? Verse 15, let's do it.
Song of Songs 4, chapter 15. A fountain of gardens, a well of living waters, and streams from Lebanon.
Keep going.
The Shulamite. Awake, O north wind, and come, O south. Blow upon my garden, that its spices may flow out. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its pleasant fruits.
Y'all see this? The garden, the Gan, that's the Gan, Gimel Nun, that is the ARK.
Right.
The garden is associated with the bride of the bridegroom. It's associated with the assembly, the bride of Yahusha. In the garden is wells of oh snap! That word came out earlier. That rivers of flowing water are flowing from the assemblies. A well of living water is a thub thing. So you seen several of the prophets, several people had went into a pit. King David, we saw that with Yosef. You saw that with Jeremiah. Y'all know that happened to Paul too? Paul got lowered in the pit too.
That's right.
He had to get lowered into like a cistern or something like that. Y'all remember that? Same thing. Same thing. And that was to preserve him from danger. It was some people after him. He got lowered into a pit. Y'all stop. Let's go to 1 King 19. 1 Kings 19. Let's start with verse 18. All right, 1 Kings chapter 18, y'all, and verse 20.
First Kings chapter 18, verse 20. So Ahab sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together on Mount Carmel. And Elijah came to all the people and said, how long will you falter between two opinions?
All right, so this is the prophet Eliyahu. I do submit that this is a part of where we are at too and what stuff we're going to start seeing. So when you think of Baal worship, you know Baal in a sense means Lord. Right now, a lot of a lot of our people are dealing with Baal worship and stuff that's closely associated with Baal worship. And we're to the point to where just showing people in the scriptures how this is the truth and all that is past that. I do believe that we're getting into the times of similar to what Eliyahu was dealing with, where it's just going Yahuwah's going to show who he's with and who he's not through signs. Through I can't remember the word Malek was using. Through signs, I'll just say that. It's going to be evident of who Yahuwah's with. It's not going to be no intellectual conversation that's going to work. Oh, you see here, because 1 Corinthians, it really means this, it don't mean that, all that stuff. See, the Torah says this, see, if you do, all that's out. For the most part. There's exceptions, but for the majority, that's not going to work. The Most High is going to show clearly who he's with and who he's not with. That's what, he's going to make it clear. I'll just put it that way. Keep reading.
How long will you falter between two opinions? If Yahuwah is Eluah, follow him. If Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word.
So these are conversations people be having. They be like, all right, y'all, if Yahuwah is who you should follow, follow him. Or if it's Lord, then follow him. Keep going.
Verse 22. Then Elijah said to the people, I alone am left a prophet of Yahuwah, but Baal's prophets are 450 men.
Wasn't we just talking about that? It's like, man, we small in number. And it seems interesting because it seems, you know, like especially with the churches and stuff, you know, they multi-million-dollar ministries, thousands and thousands in number. You live in Texas long enough, you'll see a church or two that's at least 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 members just in one church. You're not talking about like nationwide. And so Eliyahu, he feels lonely. It's a showdown. And he's like, man, I'm by myself and y'all almost 500 deep. Have y'all ever been in showdowns like that? I have. It'd be me and it'd be 100 Christians. And I'm trying to show them that you're supposed to be following Yahuwah. You're supposed to be keeping Torah. See, the Torah says this. See, it says that. Keep going.
Verse 23. Therefore, let them give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves. Cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood.
Lay it on what?
Lay it on the wood.
That is very interesting. You know why? Because in the offering today, we usually lay the meat on a grate. But this time we actually laid the meat on the wood this time. For the first time. Very interesting. Keep going.
But put no fire under it. And I will prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. Then you will call on the name of your Eluahs, and I will call on the name of Yahuwah. And the Alua who answers by fire, he is Alua. So all the people answered and said, it is well spoken. Now Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose one bull for yourselves and prepare it first, for you are many, and call on the name of your Alua, but put no fire under it. So they took the bull which was given them, and they prepared it, and they called on the name of Baal from Boker until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, no one answered. Then they leaped about their altar which they had made.
They leaped about it. You see that? They was leaping and Trey was trying. Keep going.
And so it was at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is a Alua. Either he is meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey.
So actually, if you actually look at what it's really saying, they actually saying something along the lines of, oh, is he relieving himself? Like Eliyahu was going in, y'all. He was going in. Keep going.
Or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened. So they cried aloud and cut themselves, as was their custom, with knives and lances, until the blood gushed out on them. And when midday was past, they prophesied until the time of the offering of the Erev sacrifice. But there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. So all the people came near to him. And he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. Then Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of Yahuwah had come, saying, Yasharal shall be your name. Hallelujah. Then with the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahuwah, and he made a trench around the altar large enough to hold 2 seahs of seed. And he put the wood in order, cut the bull in pieces, and laid it on the wood, and said, fill 4 water parts with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. Then he said, do it a second time.
Now this shows you how wild this is. When we after doing the offerings, they pour water on the wood. They pour water there. Man, Eliyahu was wild, man. They ain't have no fire starter back then. That's wild, man. Keep going.
Verse 34. Then he said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. So the water ran all around the altar. And he also filled the trench with water. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the Erev sacrifice.
Hallelujah. During the Erev prayer.
That Elijah the prophet came near and said, Yahuwah Alua of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yasharal, let it be known this day that you are Alua in Yasharal, and I am your servant, and that I have done these things at your word.
So this is very interesting because what it seemed like he was stalling so he could offer up the prayer during the time of the evening sacrifice. Pour more water. No, keep pouring water. Yeah, keep pouring water. Go, keep on. I gotta wait until the Rev offering time. I know the Most High gonna come through there and there. To show you how important, man, is them windows, man. He knew what he was doing. Keep going.
Verse 37. Hear me, O Yahuwah. Hear me, that this people may know that you are Yahuwah Alua, and that you have turned their hearts back to you again. Then the fire of Yahuwah fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood and the stones and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. Now when
Keep going.
Now when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, Yahuwah, he is Alua. Yahuwah, he is Alua.
You see how much that works? Trying to debate the Hebrew here it says this in context. This is what it really means. It don't mean that the law's done away with. This what all that stuff. Nah, man, look, that's thrown out the window. The Most High is gonna show clear, man, through signs, through evidence, who He is with. Let's keep going.
Verse 40. And Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let one of them escape. So they seized them. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and executed them there.
Y'all see this? This the time we in, though. So, man, Elijah killed the mugs, man. He killed them all for that. See, y'all got to know the whole story. All his people were getting killed. So it was like a war. It was a war between Yahuwah's people and the people of Baal. And Jezebel, she was trying to have all the prophets of Yahuwah killed. And many were killed, many during this time. That's why Yahuwah had judged the northern kingdom. That's why, during this time there was a judgment on the northern kingdom where there was a drought. Most High stopped the rain. Because Jezebel was trying to kill all the prophets of Yahuwah. So yeah, Elijah was like, nah, get everybody, let's rile them up. And he executed them there. All right, let's go to chapter 19. We're going to skip this. All right, verse 1, let's get it. Chapter 19, verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with the sword.
Man.
Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, so let the Elohim do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time.
You see, she made that oath on herself. That's why what happened to her ended up happening to her. Yeah, let's keep going.
Verse 3. And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life, and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there.
Now hold on. I want y'all to catch this. Fleeing from danger, where did he go? He went to Beersheba. That's the well. Y'all see that? The prophet went to the well of the oath. That's what Beersheba means. Which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. That was a long trip, because he was in the northern region. Keep going.
Verse 4. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die, and said, it is enough. Now, Yahuwah, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. Then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly Amalek touched him, and said to him, arise and eat. Then he looked, and thereby
Amalek gave him food, right? So wouldn't that be angels' food? Ain't that what they call the manna? So there's a strong relationship between Eliyahu and Moshe. That's why I put that here. So Moshe, what happened with him? Moshe, he saw an Egyptian beating on an Israelite. He intervened, right? And then killed the Egyptian. Eliyahu saw his people getting killed. The prophets were getting killed. He intervened and killed the prophets, the false prophets of Baal. When Moshe killed the Egyptian, he was on the run. He went on the run to where? Into the wilderness. He went on a run to the wilderness to flee because Pharaoh was after his life. He went on a run to the wilderness to flee. Y'all follow me? because Pharaoh was after his life. Moses. When when Moses fled because he killed somebody, he found a family who took him in and let him stay with him, right? Okay, let's keep reading.
At the well.
Oh, I didn't catch that far, man. Come on, man. Oh, man. Ah, that's wild. He fled and he fled to the well. He fled to the well, and there was a family that took him in and kept him there. Let's keep reading.
Verse 6. Then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. And the Malach of Yahuwah came back the second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. So he arose and ate and drank, and he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights, as far as Horeb, the mountain of Eluah.
Oh, hold on. Y'all see this? So Horeb, that's Mount Sinai. If y'all didn't know that. Didn't Moshe go up on Mount Sinai and fast for 40 days and 40 nights? So it says the Malach gave Elijah some food, but then he didn't eat again. It said that food kept him for 40 days and 40 nights. He ate some angels' food, and then he basically fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And then they associated that with him going to Sinai. Y'all see that connection with Moshe and Eliyahu? Let's keep going.
Verse 9. And there he went into a cave and spent the night in that place. And behold, the word of Yahuwah came to him.
Hold on. I know. But that cave is similar to being in a pit. Moshe did that when he was on the mount. He went in the cave. He asked Yahuwah to show him his glory. He said, I will put you in the cave or the cleft of the rock, which is a cave, which is hollowed out part of the rock, or you can go in. That's a cave, a hollow cave. He's like, I'm going to cover you. I'm going to kafar you with my hand, and I'm going to show you my glory. You'll see my backside. That's like the seed going in the house. That's like Yom Kippur. That's like the Day of Atonement. Being kafar, I'm going to cover you with my hand and let my glory pass by. He went here, Eliyahu went here, and he went into a cave and spent the night, and then that's when Yahuwah came to him. Let's see what he said.
And behold, the word of Yahuwah came to him, and he said to him, What are you doing here, Elijah? Verse 10. So he said, I have been very zealous for Yahuwah Sabaoth. For the children of Yashral have forsaken your covenant, tore down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life.
Now you see why Eliyahu killed them prophets? He thought they killed all the prophets, and he thought they all died. Another thing, y'all, that I didn't mention here is that Eliyahu, he was responsible for, many people believe, so they were called the sons of the prophets. So many believe that was a school that because he was the leader over them. That was like a but that was like a school of the prophets. Let's keep going.
Verse 11. Then he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahuwah.
So what mountain you think they talking about? What did Elijah run to, right? Yeah, Mount Horeb. That's Mount Sinai. So he said, go up on the mountain. Yeah. Let's keep going.
And he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahuwah. And behold, Yahuwah passed by.
Didn't that what happened when Moshe was in the cave, in the cleft of the rock? Yahuwah passed by and showed his glory. So you see very similar stuff going on. Let's keep reading.
And behold, Yahuwah passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks in pieces before Yahuwah. But Yahuwah was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake, but Yahuwah was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake fire, but Yahuwah was not in the fire.
Stop there. When the Ten Commandments was given and they were on Sinai, Wasn't there a lot of wind, thunders, lightning in that fire? So again, you see these similarities here. Let's keep going. There was great wind on Sinai. There was great wind that came in Acts chapter 2 as well. They said it was like a rushing of a mighty wind when the Ruach came. Let's keep going.
Verse 12, and after the earthquake, a fire, but Yahuwah was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. So it was when Elijah heard it that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. Suddenly a voice came to him and said, what do you do?
Hold on. So this is showing that he was there in the cave when all this happened. I just wanted to show that. Just showing he was just like when Moshe was in the cleft of the rock and Yahuwah passed by him. This is showing when all this was happening that Eliyahu was still in the cave. Now he's at the entrance of the cave now. Let's keep going.
Suddenly a voice came to him and said, what are you doing here, Elijah? Verse 14. And he said, I have been very zealous for Yahuwah the Eluah Zabaoth, because the children of Yasharal have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek to take my life. Then Yahuwah said to him, go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you arrive, anoint Hazael as king over Syria. Also you shall anoint Jehu, the son of Nimshi, as king over Yasharal, and Elisha, the son of Shaphat, of Abel Meholah, you shall anoint as prophet in your place. And it shall be that whoever escapes the sword of Hazael, Jehu will kill, and whoever escapes the sword of Jehu, Elisha will kill.
And we'll stop there, and then it goes into when Elijah throws his mantle on Elisha. And so let's skip to chapter 21. Y'all there in chapter 21?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead and start with verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 21, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Naboth, the Jezreelite, had a vineyard which was in Jezreel.
Wait, hold on. What's his name?
Naboth.
His name is closely related to Nob. It's closely related to Nabi, but it's about fruit. I think it's plural for fruit, like fruits. Nabaot or something like that in Hebrew. Nabot. So this is about a seed in the house. Nabot. He had a vineyard, and basically what happened was Ahab wanted it. Nabot was like, because he had fruit. He bore fruit. That was his name. He was like, man, I couldn't sell this is the land of my inheritance. I couldn't sell this to you. He was trying to go by Torah, because in the Torah you're not supposed to sell the land of your inheritance to somebody who's not even from your lineage. So Jezebel drummed up false charges on him and got him killed. False witnesses on him and got him killed. Got him stoned. So let's skip down to verse 17.
First Kings chapter 21, verse 17. Then the word of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, who lives in Samaria. There he is in the vineyard of Naboth, where he has gone down to take possession of it. You shall speak to him, saying, thus says Yahuwah, have you murdered and also taken possession? And you shall speak to him, saying, thus says Yahuwah, in the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, dogs shall lick your blood, even yours. So Ahab
I'll leave it at that. So basically, That was the judgment that was put on him. He ends up getting killed in war. Ahab ends up getting killed in war. Go to 2 Kings chapter 2. But that judgment ended up happening to Ahab because he ended up getting Naboth killed. The dude whose name is basically similar to Nabi, about the prophets, about fruit. That was the line crossed for him there. 2 Kings chapter 2. Let's do verse 1, like 1 through 3.
2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass, when Yahuwah was about to take up Elijah into the Shamayim by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. Then Elijah said to Elisha, stay here, please, for Yahuwah has sent me on to Bethel. But Elisha said, as Yahuwah lives and as your soul lives, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. Now the sons of the prophets who were at Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, do you know that Yahuwah will take away your master from over you today? And he said, yes, I know. Keep silent.
So I wanted to show y'all that was about the sons of the prophets was a group of people that were all prophets. It was like, again, it was like a school of the prophets. It was like this group of people who was like a assembly of prophets in a sense. And so that's who they all kind of were connected with. Y'all look here on the screen, Bamidbar chapter 11, verse 29. This is in the Torah, Bamidbar chapter 11. It says, then Moshe said to him, are you zealous for my sake? Oh, that all Yahuwah's people were, and that Yahuwah would put his spirit upon them. And Moshe returned to the camp, he and the elders of Israel. Moshe said this. He was talking to Yahusha, the son of Nun. Because there were some people, so the 70 elders, Yahuwah put Moshe's Ruach on the 70 elders and they start prophesying. But then it was two people who they didn't expect to prophesy who started prophesying. And Yahusha, son of Nun, was just like, oh, that ain't cool. Let's do something about it. And that was Moshe's response. Are you zealous for my sake? Oh, that all Yahuwah's people were prophets. Paul said the same exact thing. Go to 1 Corinthians 14. We're almost done. First Corinthians chapter 14. First Corinthians chapter 14. Y'all ready? Verse 1 through 4.
1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 1. Pursue love and desire ruachal gifts, but especially that you may prophesy.
You see this? It's the same thing. Moshe was saying the same thing. He wished that all would prophesy. Keep going.
Verse 2. For he who speaks in a tongue does not speak to men, but to Elohim, for no one understands him. However, in the Ruach he speaks mysteries. But he who prophesies speaks edification and exhortation and comfort to men.
Y'all see this? The same stuff that was happening in the assemblies back then in the days of Paul is what we're seeing here in Rebirth. This is amazing, y'all. Let's keep going.
Verse 4. He who speaks in the tongue edifies himself, but he who prophesies edifies the assembly.
Verse 5.
I wish you all spoke with tongues, but even more that you prophesied.
Y'all hear this? Paul basically saying, I wish that you all would prophesy. He said, I wish you all would speak in tongues, but even more than that, I wish you all prophesy. Y'all, that's what's happening. That's where we're at. But it don't got to be by the Melachim, because all of the leadership have been imparted to by the Melachim. All the leadership that were imparted to y'all have been imparted into by the Melachim. That's how the stuff works, man. Elijah was big. Another big thing about Elijah is that he did impartations. He passed on his mantle. That's why he put his mantle on Elisha. And Elisha was able to move and do all the same things Elijah was doing. The same thing with Moshe. Moshe laid hands on Joshua and imparted into Joshua. Did y'all know that? Y'all probably, it's a quick verse and it's obscure. You might have read by it fast. We're not gonna go there right now for time, but if you go there, I believe it's in the end of the Torah. It's like in the end of the book. I think it's like in the end of Deuteronomy. There's a verse where it shows how Moshe says he laid his hands on Joshua, the son of Nun. He imparted into him. And so after Moshe died, Joshua was able to go and do a lot of the same things Moshe did. They crossed over the water. They crossed over on dry ground too. He led the nation into the promised land and was successful. Yeah. That's all I got, y'all. All praise to Yahuwah. But I want to say this to y'all who, if there's anybody who hasn't been able to speak in the Ruach, if you in your prayer time and you start hearing tongues, a different language in your ear, that means it's in you to speak in another Ruach. If you sleep and you keep having dreams, and it's probably not a dream, actually. It's probably real. It's probably a ruachal, like that being spoken of in your heart. Especially if you're half asleep, you're sleeping, you're just waking up and you're in kind of that limbo, and you start hearing tongues. That means it's in you. Start speaking it out. That makes sense, y'all? The Most High starts giving you words. Write them down. Start off by journaling. When the Most High starts giving you words, journaling. Or recording. And then you'll start seeing that stuff coming to pass, and that'll give you more, what's the word I'm looking for? More, confidence. And the Most High will start showing you, write them down, you start recording them, you start seeing that stuff come to pass, and you start realizing, man, the Most High's put this in me. Hallelujah.
All right, so we starting off. We got a few comments here. We got Yeshayahu. He said, what's the difference between being tamim and perfect?
Oh, really?
That's a great question. So the difference between being tamim and perfect. So being perfect, and from a Babylon, actually, being tamim is translated as perfect sometimes in English. So when Yahusha said, be perfect, as I'm perfect, he's talking about being tamim. But in Babylonian culture, because you always heard the guy, nobody's perfect. Come on, man. That type of thing. So, but then Yahusha said to be perfect. So then just like, how do you deal with that when everybody has done something wrong before? That's what they're saying when they say nobody's perfect. But that's not the scripture's version, definition of perfect. You get it? So tamim means being without spot or blemish. So what does that mean? So the animals that were sacrificed had to be without spot or blemish. That actually was a part of this Torah portion. We just didn't go there. But in Leviticus 22, it goes into how the animals couldn't have any defects and stuff on it. They had to be without spot or blemish. Without spot or blemish. Oh, snap. Man, this Torah portion gave you the actual definition of what it means to be tamim. It means having no defect. Remember the defects we read about? You know, it can't have 1 foot longer than the other. Hunchback, dwarf. You have to bear fruit. You got to be grown to a certain level. These are all the things. Actually, it's telling you what you need to do to be tamim. Just think about it. I just thought about this. Oh, snap. They said you couldn't be in you couldn't move in the priesthood with a broken hand or a broken foot. Well, a broken hand and a broken foot is supposed to heal after a certain amount of time, right? So that's you're supposed to be. There's certain things that you might have went through, but the Most High put you in a place where you got everything that you need to be healed from that. And so, just like, okay, the Torah says if you have a broken hand or broken foot, that you can't move in the priesthood, but man, a broken hand, broken foot, you can heal from that in what, a few months or something, right? What if a few years go by and you still got the broken hand? Okay, something's not right there. And that's what happens. That makes you not tamim, that makes you unqualified for the priesthood if, you know, you had daddy issues when you came into the assembly, but you went through your deliverances, you went through Aruka, and now it's 10 years later and you're still talking about the same daddy issues. When you should have moved forward from those things. You were already delivered and restored from those things, so there's something not right because you're still not being healed from something that you should have been healed from. That's what it means to be tamim. Perfect is really abstract in the Babylonian sense. This can mean anything. You know, oh, I got a perfect score. 100% on my video game, perfect. All that type of stuff. Can mean anything. But tamim is very specific. Great question.
My short answer to that is that on your own you can't really be perfect. So in order to be tamim, that means you have to deny yourself because you're tamim, because Yahusha's tamim. So you're perfected in Yahusha. The world's version of perfect, nobody would really ever perfect it. Because they always say practice makes perfect. No, practice makes you better. But no one is ever going to ever be fully perfect. Even our bodies wasn't made fully perfect, which is why we need Yahu and Yahusha. That's why the Malachim that they're ascending while we're praying is taking things out of us that are imperfect and putting things in us to make us to be like Yahusha, to be tamim. So basically that's what it is. So the healing piece, that's something you can't do on your own either. A lot of people think they don't need a tribe or they'll be fine without a tribe or just want to be alone or by themselves. Nobody can heal on their own by themselves. Even your body doesn't heal on its own by itself. You have a whole system in your body. When you just get something like a paper cut, you have multiple parts of your body functioning at one time to heal at one cut. And those things have to function in order, and they have to function together. And together doesn't necessarily mean at the same time. Some of them are functioning at the same time, but some of them can't function until somebody else functions before them. And it's the same with a tribe. You cannot see yourself. Yahusha is in each and every person in here. So that's why it takes a tribe to show you your imperfections so that you can perfect them through the eyes in which Yahusha sees you. So that's what being Tamim is, seeing yourself in the eyes of Yahusha, responding in a way that Yahusha would probably respond, or thinking and being thoughtful and moving how Yahusha would probably move. That's why a person who's truly Tamim is always in shalom for the most part, because they choose what they're allowed to take their shalom from them. It's a level of power that you have in order to keep your perfection, meaning keep yourself in a state of Yahusha. Because we have a lot of distractions out here. I'm sure there's a lot of times you want to punch somebody in the face or do something, but your self-control and your level of self-control and your level of being perfected in Yahusha has trained you not to go around punching people in the face.
Yeah, I just wanted to read the definition here. So it says, Tamim, complete, whole, entire, sound. So just what they were talking about with healing and going through Aruka and you being healed and how it's related to the animals that you're supposed to present, being without defect, that kind of gives you a picture of it. It's not so much of a, it's not so much like, oh, I don't make a mistake or, oh, I don't do anything wrong. But it's, are you in a place where, think about like a cistern or a vase, right? If it's broken, then it's not complete, it's not whole, it's not entire, it's not sound, it's not in a place where it can function, right? And so that's kind of what I think about. Like, are you in the place where, are you complete? Are you whole? Have you let Yahuwah heal you, matured to a place to where he can use you, to where you're able to be a vessel?
Just to land back off of that, and kind of what Maury was bringing out too, is kind of like also like Zion Williamson, right? He been healthy, he been already ready to play, but he won't play because mentally he's not there. He's not ready to stop on his leg like that after an injury like that. So it's the same thing with like Aruka. You kind of got to go through that physical therapy. Some stuff you're not going to be like comfortable with. Just like if you sprain your ankle, you're not comfortable with jumping. You ain't finna be jumping in the middle with 4 people there because you just like in your head, like I just got done twisting my leg. Like if I jump with these 4, I might land on their foot or something. So like being like just laying backing off of that, being Tamim is like getting to that point where it's like, okay, I tore my ACL, but like you would never know because like I'm doing everything 100 miles an hour.
Benyahu said hunchback or dwarf could also represent arrested development. Kepha. I don't know. Let's see. Doloria. The priest is worth more than gold. People will give all they have to be with the set apart. That's real. Doloria. Mm-hmm. That's real. And then she said, Genesis 1:11, the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself. I feel like I know what that was in reference to. Yeah, the prophets. Kind, yeah. The fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. Wait, what was you thinking with the prophets on that? Ooh, yeah.
Elijah and Elijah, however you say it. Yeah, it's sort of like it was his son, you know. So he was a seed after his own, his own kind. Yeah.
Sheer put 1 Corinthians 14, 1-5. I thought I saw this in here. Yeah, you went to this right afterwards. But it says, pursue love and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. For one who speaks in a tongue speaks not to man, but to Allah, for no one understands him. But he utters mysteries in the Ruach. On the other hand, the one who prophesies speaks to the people for their upbuilding and encouragement and consolation. The one who speaks in a tongue builds up himself, but the one who prophesies builds up the assembly. Now I want you all to speak in tongues, but even more to prophesy. The one who prophesies is greater than the one who speaks in tongues, unless someone interprets so that the assembly may be built up.
Praise Yahusha, he's lighting a fire in my belly, so I'm going to bring it out. Praise Yahusha. So, Mushal kind of already touched on it, but they're in this whole excerpt, it's like the one who speaks in a tongue builds up himself, but the one who prophesies builds up the assembly. And I just want us to say law on that because that was something I was thinking on today when I had when I got up and I finally started confessing in declaration, and I just felt like that did something for others. And I know that it's not me. He can use anybody. It's the same Ruach, you know. He can use anybody. But when I stood up, I seen people begin to move more. The room started to shift. People started to shout. So for those who may still be, learning, I definitely want to encourage everybody. I'm still learning too. I'm speaking to myself too. But for anybody who kind of is struggling, or you feel that, I know everybody has felt that fire in your stomach where you feel like, I need to say something, I need to do something, I need to move or something. Like Mushal was saying, to start in your bedroom. That was something I told somebody, and that was something I did, praising and worshiping in my bedroom, speaking in tongues in my bedroom, just starting by yourself and speaking to Yahuwah first, and then you feel more comfortable because I know it's like now it's like I'm in that secret place. I already know what it feels like to be in that secret place. So like wherever I'm at, whether it's people around me or not, I'm in that secret place and I'm going to speak how he leads me. And it's not for you. It says that prophecy, what it was just said, I'll read it again. The one who speaks in a tongue builds up himself, but the one who prophesies builds up the assembly. We trying to build up the assembly. We trying to build the kingdom. We trying to build the nation.
and it takes one person at a time. Like, we need, you know, we got leadership, but there's gonna need to be another Mushal. There's gonna be need to be another Mushala. There's gonna be needs to be another Moray. You know what I'm saying? We have to keep it going. The fruit, the purpose of the fruit, like Mushal was teaching, is to reproduce. So be fruitful and multiply. You know, and subdue the earth and have dominion over it. Subdue your flesh and have dominion over it. Why don't you want to, you have to start asking yourself, why don't I want to, or why do I feel uncomfortable moving when I feel this fire in me? Like, I know the fire that the Most High puts in me, that I feel, I can't sit still sometimes. I have to shout. I have to, especially now I feel like it's gotten stronger. And I don't mean to talk too long, but I just really want to encourage. Okay, hallelujah. 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 But yeah. But yeah, the fire that he puts in us, and I believe that he's putting in everybody, like, the Most High is real. The Ruach HaKodesh is real. These experiences that we have is real. It's our life. It's the future of the Yelladim. I be seeing them, and I feel like they be having fire in their feet. You see them when they're praising and worshiping. You know, they be going fast, and they might fall or stumble, but that's that fire that he's put in us. We have to utilize it to its fullest potential because he's given us the power and the authority to do so. And it's for somebody else. If you don't want to do it for you, if you don't want to do it because you feel embarrassed, just start to tell yourself, somebody needs to hear me scream right now. Somebody needs to see me throw my hands up in the air. Somebody needs this. Somebody else outside of myself. Can I be selfless for one day, one moment, 1 second? Because how long does it take for you to throw up your hands? How long does it take for you to shout, lift up your voice, and praise Yahusha? Even if it's just praise Yahusha. I don't have the words, Sabi Yahuwah, but I lift up my voice unto you because you are worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's worthy of our praise. Even if we don't know the words to say, sometimes I just want to talk so much, but sometimes the words just get jumbled up and I just need to say hallelujah. Or shout or whoop or whatever it may be. Like, you know, it's, let that go. Let it out of you. 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 Let it out. Release it and let go. Release that fire that he's placed in you, because I truly believe that he's placed it in each and every one of us sitting in this room. I know, because all of us had experiences from Pesach. Even before Pesach, I know that it was there. Since I got here, since I stepped foot on this land, I know that it was there. I know that it was here as something different. I know that the Most High is here and Yahusha is here, and truly his Ruach moves. The scripts is real and we live in it. Prophecies and prophesying, I used to be scared of it because sometimes it sounds so scary, but it's really love, and it's truly for the edifying and the building up of the assembly. Yahusha died. He laid his life down so that we could be washed with the water of the word, that we could be washed, for somebody else could be washed, and somebody else could be washed, and they can stay clean, and they can continue to lift up their voice and praise Yahuwah. Yahuwah brought us here to praise him. Yahuwah brought us here to serve him and to love him and to love our neighbor as ourselves and do what he's called us to do. And we can do it because he's given us everything that we need to do it. Hallelujah.
So the part about speaking on tongues and the building up of self, the question would be, because it does say that if you he who speaks in a tongue builds himself up, but builds himself up to do what? Verse 5, I wish you all spoke with tongues, but even more that you prophesied. Why? Because he who prophesies is greater than he who speaks in tongues, unless indeed he interprets, that the assembly may receive edification. So you'll notice that oftentimes it'll start with a hum, or maybe a song. It'll go into a tongue, and then it'll go into prophecy. So in the assembly, what we're seeing is the speaking of a tongue that leads into the prophesying. That's what he's saying here. He's saying that he's going to build himself up, but the purpose of building something up is that others can dwell in it. For example, that word for build up is actually, I ain't going to try and pronounce the Greek, but it means to construct a house. Who constructs a house and doesn't want anybody to live in it? He's building himself up. So, and it starts to bring forth prophecy. If you keep reading in here later on, what's going to happen is he'll say that there's going to be one that speaks in a tongue, and then there's going to be one that interprets, but really they're the same person. The one that's going to speak in the tongue, Yahuwah going to give him the understanding of the tongue, he's going to start prophesying. That's why the music is so important. The flutes, the harps, the djembes is what it's going to talk about in here. That's so important because that's what's almost like building an atmosphere for those things to happen. This is why Yahuwah was like earlier today. She came here to dance. What did you come for? So when tongues begin to go forth, that's when you can almost guarantee every time that prophecy's coming. Prophecy's coming because you're building up to a something. You're constructing a house. Why? So that people can come dwell in it and they can start receiving. The Ruach started speaking in a tongue, and then Saraya was like, I felt it. I began to feel it I began to feel it, and I began to cry out. She was like, I began to understand what the Ruach was saying. But that wasn't English. That wasn't English. I don't know what language that was. But it wasn't American. It wasn't English. But the point is that, watch behind you. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I done drop kicked the baby. He all right. At least he didn't get stepped on. But what I'm saying is this, that when tongues started going forth before the prophecy, I think it was Saraya, and there was somebody else that said it as well, that they could feel it. I think it was Ima Shifra, maybe. She was saying that she can feel it, but that wasn't English. That's how, just as an example, if you ever owned a dog, you can call the dog's name, it's going to respond to you, and it's not because the dog knows English. It's because the dog recognizes that frequency. The dog recognizes that. Before I could call Caleb, and it's not because he speaks English, but he gonna look at me when I say Caleb, unless he eating, because he understands there's this sound, I'm responding to it. So all of that being said, when we're talking about tongues, there's a full picture that he's painting here in 1 Corinthians 14. He's really saying, man, you're speaking in this tongue, you're gonna bring forth this prophecy that's gonna build the assembly. So that's why tongues are so important. That's why the roars beginning to bring out that song. When did you hear that? When you start hearing tongues in your dream? Was it after you started singing on the mic? Yeah? Right. Because there's a harmony that you'll hear. That's when I started humming. That's the first thing that happened. It was a hum. And then it was a djembe. And then it was the deep djembe, the bass. And then it was a prayer. And then it was a tongue. And then it was prophecy. And then the Ruach fell. But that's usually the order that it's going to go in. It don't always have to do that. But that's normally the order it's going to go in. That go back to what Mushal was saying about how this thing about speaking in tongues is way bigger. Because we were taught, like, man, don't say nothing in tongues if she not going to interpret what I'm saying. That's not what the scripture's saying. It says, greater than he who prophesies is greater than he who speaks with tongues, unless indeed he interprets. That he is the same person that's prophesying and speaking in tongues. He's doing all of it because that's what the Ruach of Alua is doing.
Hallelujah. I just wanted to confirm that Shabbat in Augusta during close to Yom Teruah. Malka Kayil, she actually brought that out. Like understanding the function of music, understanding that I wrote it down. Like she just went really in depth, just basically confirming what you're saying. But like, it's not entertainment. We're not coming here for a feeling or like, oh, I like this song, so I'm gonna dance to it. No, every song you should want to, move or praise the Most High to. Regardless of how it sounds or how it doesn't sound, we shouldn't have an idea because we can't put Yahuwah in a box. Because at the end of the day, it's for his edification and it's for his kabod, it's for his esteem. And we should just be thankful that we even in this building at all, able to hear the sounds. And because we're tapping into the Shamayim and we're basically listening to the Shamayim, like that's so crazy. The Most High told me through Mori Manu that I was welcomed in the Shamayim, and I believe we're all welcomed in the Shamayim. And that's so crazy. Like, that's such a, like, I don't know if that don't make you want to just jump out of your seat and shout and, like, praise the Most High. Like, we're welcomed in the Shamayim. Like, the song that Mushal used to sing, we are known. In the Shamayim, we are known. By the Malachim, we are known. Oh, like, that's crazy. What? Y'all, you want to be TikTok famous? No, I'm trying to be Shamayim famous. What? That's crazy. And we have seats with our names on it. We're written in the book of life. Like, this is beyond. He's just so amazing, and he's just so through, and he's worthy of us giving and submitting our bodies to him. And this is something he's been teaching me, and I'm actively learning, and I praise his name for the grace and the time to actively learn all of this, because it's like it surpasses my understanding. Like, truly his shalom surpasses my understanding, and his love and his grace. Just the fact, like, can we just say la? I'm sorry, I'm going deep, but can we just say la for a moment that we really in this building? We're really a part of the Kodashim, huh? Well, I am. Well, we are one body. Well, I am welcome. I am welcomed in the Shamayim, and I am in this house. It's truly amazing, and it's just like, I don't understand it, and it's not for me to it may not be for me to understand right now. Maybe he'll give me an understanding, maybe he won't, but praise Yahusha that I'm here and I have this moment to even be on the microphone. I'm praise Yahusha that I have opportunity to speak, and that he's brought me back to my right mind, because I've been having some trials and difficulties, but he continues to restore me, and he continues to reassure me and just pour into me and strengthen me and correct me and direct me and comfort me and confirm me. Like, you gotta think, you gotta remember, you gotta zakar, cause like, it's him doing the work in you. It's him. He brought you here. None of us is worthy, but it's him. He literally made us one. It's this scripture in Ephesians that's just been ministering to my ruach. And I'm gonna bring it out if that's through. In Ephesians 2:14, for he himself is our shalom, who has made us both one. We are one with Yahusha. I am one with Yahusha. Like, he calls me a jewel, precious in his sight, something that he values. And has broken down. He has broken down in his flesh the dividing wall of hostility. And what that means to me is, like, everything that separates us from him, separates me from him. He done broke it down in his flesh. He broke it down in his flesh and moved it away. Like, praise Yahusha. We owe him. We have to move when he puts that flame in us. Praise Yahusha that we even can feel it. There's so many people who don't feel it or who don't have it, but we do. We have the opportunity. I do. I have the opportunity to feel it. I felt it. I experienced him. He's caused me to know him and continue to reveal himself to me. It's amazing. Hallelujah.
So the reason I kept telling you not to say we or ours, because as people, it's general. As people, we got a tendency, we'll like hide in the crowd. Like it'll be a thub thing, and we'll go hide in the crowd from it, and we'll just include everybody. Generalizations. But when I washed your hands, that was for you. That wasn't for everybody. You were welcomed in the Shamayim. You are welcomed in the Shamayim. Now that don't exclude nobody, at least that I know of, but that message was directly for you. So you got to receive it as a personal message. It's a mail that Yahuwah sent to you in your name. Not like, because you know how you get that mail. Well, you might not know, but sometimes you get a mail. It'll be like, David Norwood, our current resident. I don't even open that. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all seen that before? That ain't how Yahuwah send messages. Yahuwah put your name right there, not or current resident. So I want to say one more thing. Yahuwah had shown me something when Hoda was talking earlier today. And he was saying how like we just vessels. We're vessels, and when we move in them gifts, like when you move in singing, when you move in prophecy, when you move in tongues, yes, it's your body doing it, but it's not you, because it's not in you to do. Like you might have a nice tone, but it's not in you to sing and then open up the heavens. It's not in you to do. Or it's not in you to speak tongues. It's not in me, nobody to prophesy. It's not in me to prophesy. That's crazy. I was with Musha. I was like, man, I just want to sit in the back, listen to the lesson, and argue. That's what I wanted to do. But it's not in me to prophesy. So what is it that's doing it? It's the thing that you've been imparted with. The 70 elders, he brought this up earlier. The 70 elders, it wasn't in them to prophesy, but it was in the Ruach of Musha. Why? Because it was in the Ruach of Alua. The Ruach of Alua put it in Musha, and he's like, I'm going to take that I put in you and put it in 70 other people. Then they prophesied. That's why it's a letting go of like this tension that feels in this nervousness. Like it's a letting go, because I know it's not me. It's not me doing nothing. Like Melech Musha said, I'm dumb. I can't figure nothing out. I would completely wreck everything if it was left to me, but it's the Ruach of Alua in me, so I can trust it. But, yeah. Toda for sharing that, though. So, Benny Yahoo, we at 7:22. He just ran out of food. He all right, y'all. He all right. Bereshit 37:31. So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic in blood. Atonement. That's Kavor. Yeah. Kepha said Saul was going in prophesying. Saul was going in prophesying so much that they thought he was a prophet. Yeah. Yeah, they actually came up with a a saying like, "Oh man, is Saul amongst the prophets?" Hezekiah said, "Wouldn't Daniel getting put in the den with the lions be the same?" And then he put look at me breaking down the Hebrew. He put the Hezekiah. He put the Hebrew word there is gob, and it says a pit. Is that Hebrew? That might. Yeah, that's probably that's Aramaic. Yeah, that's Aramaic. That's Daniel.
Let's see. It's 1461. I don't know which word that is. Let's see here. Let's see if it's the same. Yup. It's the same word. No goob in Hebrew. Nah, it's gimel uabet.
Concept is probably similar though. Okay.
One of the meanings in that goob is to dig a well.
Very similar. Imaz and elder Imao and Zakain, y'all can eat. The word Yahoo done popped up. 809. We used branches that had just gotten rained on to keep the fire going. Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah, that's why I had to put it on top of it so that all that vapor would come out. It was a struggle. It was. You can hear it. So then man, that was Yahuwah. 1 King 18:33, and he put the wood in order and cut the bullock in pieces and laid him on the wood and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. Man, that's.
Yeah, we put the meat on the wood this time, so I was saying earlier. That was the first time we ever did that.
Shimshon, you must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer.
I was just saying how he was following Torah by killing the false prophets. Then.
You must, man, yeah, that's, you must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. Yahuwah your Eluah is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It is Yahuwah your Eluah you must follow. In him you will revere. Keep his commandments and obey him. Serve him and hold fast to him. That prophet or dreamer must be put to death for inciting rebellion against Yahuwah your Eluah, who brought you out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. That prophet or dreamer tried to turn you from the way of Yahuwah your Eluah, commanded you to the way he commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. If your very own brother or your son or daughter or the wife you love or your closest friend secretly entices you saying, let us go and worship other Eluah, Elohim that neither you nor your ancestors have known, Elohim of the peoples around you, whether near or far, from one end of the land to the other, do not yield to them or listen to them. Show them no pity. Do not spare them or shield them. You must certainly put them to death. Your hand must be the first in putting them to death. And then the hands of all the people stone them to death because they tried to turn you away from Yahuwah Eluah, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Boy, ain't no Boy, ain't no questions about that right there. That's pretty clear right there. He ain't pulled no punches. Yeah. What pit, well, cistern, dungeon, bore have you been lowered into that saved you?
Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul. Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul. He put the music notes by it, so I had to sing it. Bless his holy name. Bless. Name. All right, let me read it. Psalm 103:4. Bless Yahuwah, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his Kodesh name. Bless Yahuwah, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. Oh, snap. What's that word there for loving kindness? Can somebody look that up? Is it chesed? I think that's something Yahuwah was saying earlier today. Yeah, he kept saying chesed. Who satisfies your mouth with food things so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Yahuwah executes righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. Beniyahu, Musa and Eliyahu, the rod and the sword. So did Musa. Well, I guess he commanded it. He commanded the Levites to kill all them people. So I guess I don't know if he raised the sword to nobody though. Yeah.
You see that same order during Yahusha's transfiguration in the Brit Hadashah. Yeah, with his transfiguration, both of them appeared with him, Moshe and Eliyahu. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another important that was another very, very important thing that I forgot to mention earlier about the correlation between Moshe and Elijah. So, man, it's a couple of stuff I forgot. Oh, man. I'm going to just read this to y'all real quick, and maybe we'll go over it and maybe I'll do a little short recap next time. Yeah. But in Malachi chapter 4, chapter 4, verse 4, it says, remember the law of Moshe, my servant, which I commanded him in Horeb. You notice it says Horeb here. That's the same name they call Sinai with surrounding Elijah. Instead of them calling it Sinai, they called it Horeb. Remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant, which I commanded him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahuwah. And he will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with a curse. So we know that Elijah, he turned the hearts. That's why I'm telling y'all, we're in the days of Elijah. So Elijah, we're wondering as far as turning the hearts back to the fathers and the fathers back to the sons. We read that when we were reading 1 Kings 18 today. He prayed to the Most High at Rev, and he basically said something along the lines of turning the hearts of the children back to their fathers, something along those lines. And it was in reference to turning the people back to Yahuwah. Turning the people back to Yahuwah, turning them back to their fathers, like Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. That's what I believe he was referring to. The ways of their real fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And so, you see in Malachi 4 that Moshe and Elijah are hand in hand together when it comes to the end times. Then you go to the Brit Hadashah, and you see Elijah and Moshe are at the transfiguration. Now, we know that Elijah didn't die. Remember, he went up into the Shamayim alive in a whirlwind, right? But what about Moshe? Damn, I forgot to bring this out. So it says that Moshe died in Deuteronomy, I think 34. And it says he was put in a hidden place. But then when you go to Jude, only one chapter. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's long. It's that one chapter. And you go to verse 9, Jude chapter, only chapter, the Jude 1 verse 9. It says, yet Michael the archangel in contending with Hasatan, or with the devil, when he disputed about the body of Moshe. Y'all see this? Dared not bring against him a reviling accusation, but said, Yahuwah rebuke you. Why was Moshe sitting there hand in hand with somebody you know didn't taste death in the transfiguration? I submit it's very possible that Moshe is alive. I submit to y'all that Moshe could have been the first to resurrect from the dead. That's why he was at the transfiguration with Elijah. That's why Jude 9 and the Brit Hadashah say that the Hasatan had contended with the archangel Michael over his body. Why would Hasatan try to contend over a body that's already dead? What threat is that? Why are you contending with an archangel? What? An archangel, that's huge. Like you get killed by an archangel. Like even like Hasatan was very risky. Was very for trying to get with one of Yahuwah's archangels, Michael. That's bold. That means there was something serious about Moshe's body. Maybe he knew that because he knew he was going to resurrect. See, Hasatan be knowing a lot more because Hasatan was there in the belly. He was there in the throne room. The scripture said that he was the cherub that covereth. That word is sukkah. That's about the covering with his wings, like the two cherubim that cover the ark with their wings. It said that Hasatan was the cherub that covered. So it's alluding that he was one of the cherubim that was in the throne room. So he knows what's going on, man. He probably knew Moshe and Shammai. He knew. Why was he contending with his body? He was trying to keep Moshe from resurrecting. That's what I submit to y'all. He was trying to stop what he knew was about to happen. See, they probably thought Moshe was going to be like, because Yahusha is the prophet like unto Moshe. Yahusha was prophesied in Deuteronomy 18 as the prophet like unto Moshe. Yahusha, death, burial, and resurrection, is very possible that Moshe resurrected too. That's why he showed up at the Mount of Transfiguration. Now, that's not the end. You go to Revelation and they have a thing about the two witnesses. Let's go there real quick. I'm going to go there real fast and that's it. Revelation 11, the two witnesses. Revelation 11, verse 1. Revelation 11, verse 1. Revelation 11, verse 1. I said it 3 times because I know somebody was going to ask. So, what was the verse again? The rod and the sword. Yeah, y'all right on it, man. Moshe and Elijah. All right, here it goes. Look what it says right in verse 1 of Revelation 11. Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod. And the Malak stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Alua, the altar, and those who worship there. Believe out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations. And they will tread the Kodesh city underfoot for 42 months, and I will give power to my 2 witnesses. And they will do what? Y'all see this? For the 3 people who went there. And they will do what? Y'all see this? And they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees. That's the tree of life. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands. That's the menorah. Symbolizes the assemblies, the eyes of Alua. Standing before Alua of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. Ain't that what happened with Eliyahu? And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut heaven so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy. And I know we didn't read that part, but that's Eliyahu all the way. I'll just tell y'all what happened to Eliyahu. Y'all read it on your own. 2 Kings 18. Eliyahu pulls up on the king or something like that, and he does a prophecy and basically says, thus says the Most High, going to shut up the heavens. And he shut up the heavens and caused a major drought from his declaration of prayer. They have power to shut heaven so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy. That's what happened the whole time of Eliyahu. And they have power over waters to turn them into blood. That's Moshe, and to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. This Eliyahu and Moshe. So we saw Eliyahu and Moshe prophesy to Micah 4, right? We saw Eliyahu and Moshe. We actually went through the scriptures and showed how they're related to each other, even in their ministries. How they have ridiculous similarities even in their ministries and what they went through and what they did and accomplished. And then we see it even spoken of in prophecy as far as the 2 witnesses at the end times will have the same power. They're called the 2 witnesses, the 2 olive trees, and they will have the same power as Eliyahu and Moshe, or similar powers, similar capabilities. So much so similar that many believe, these 2 witnesses is Eliyahu and Moshe. That's who the 2 witnesses are. So, there's something to that. There's something definitely to that. All praise to the Most High.
So you said the body of Musha. And you said that they were arguing over the body of Musha because he knew that he was possibly going to return. Maybe he's still here. Matthew 17. So it's just the way that this reads. So this is a transfiguration. It says, now after 6 days, I'm at verse 1. Now after 6 days, Yahusha took Peter, James, and John, his brother, led them up on a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. And behold, Moses and Eliyahu appeared to them, talking with them. So it's like, man, Musha actually came back and had a body. The same body that Hasatan was arguing with Michael the Archangel over. He appeared and had a body. How do we know that he had a body, though? So in verse 2, it says his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. So when you go over to Matthew 28, you see, there we go there, Matthew 28, verse 2, it says, and behold, there was a great earthquake, for the Malach of Yahuwah descended from the Shamayim and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. So this is dealing with the resurrection. The resurrection. And it says his countenance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. So that's describing the Malach that came down, the Malach that had a body. So it's just interesting. Even when Yahusha returns in John 20, he talks about how he tells I think it was Mary, not to touch him, because his body. Let me just go there real quick. It's John 20. He had not yet ascended.
Wow.
He says, John 20, he says, verse 16, Yahusha said to her, Mary. She turned and said to him, Rabboni, which means the teacher. Yahusha said to her, do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brethren and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father. So now you just, man, you just, whew. Man, we gotta move on. Let's see. Man. All right, so we at Hadassah. We at 828. She said, when we were talking about defects, it reminded me of what I saw and heard in prayer this week. I was up in the clouds with the presence of Yahusha. The gist of it is that Yahuwah is Kodesh, Yahusha is Kodesh, and one has to be Kodesh in Tamim to join his body. Being Tamim, I'm referring to having a clean heart with pure intentions, pure motivations. It's deeper than just works, which is also why I submit Yahuwah is coming for triggers. If not Tamim, it will be like a disease or parasite entering the body and thus will get rejected or spewed out. Like from Yahusha's belly. I just caught that part. Yup. That's what it says in Revelation, that he'll spill you out if you need a hot no cold. And like Musha said, it don't come from your leg. Hadassah, these are, she put the scriptures. Shir said no one had ever seen Alua. If we love one another, Alua abides in us, and his love is perfected in us. And the Roy Yahoo put the video of us singing in there. That's it.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.